So in this video, I'm going to explain to you what the Loverboy method is, how it relates to human trafficking, and why Andrew Tate is potentially in so much trouble in Romania to start off with. And then second of all, I'm going to outline an international legal bombshell that no one is talking about yet, which is really, really important in terms of where this case of the Tates in Romania may lead us to. So let's get into it. Poiecăle!
SAR Experience.
So I'm speaking to you today on the 11th of January 2023. I'm actually here at a park in lovely Lviv in the west of Ukraine. And just a quick update as to the case of the Tate brothers and where it's at. Yesterday they had their appeal against their detention in Romania that is for 30 days in total currently, so up until the end of January 2023. They had that appeal rejected by the courts in Romania. So they are currently in detention. There are only allegations at this stage. There are no charges, but the prosecutors, the investigators, they are currently working on that, and they have basically until the end of the month to come up with a compelling case to detain them further or to press charges. Now, the reason for me to make this video, I'm focusing just on this Loverboy method, is the fact that so many people, supporters of Andrew Tate and detractors of Andrew Tate that I've spoken to, or I've seen them comment online, many of those YouTube influencers in the manosphere space, they don't really seem to understand what the Loverboy method is and why potentially the Tate brothers are in so much trouble. Some of these influencers even had the Tate brothers on their podcast boasting about using this method.
So I text all my girlfriends, I think it was 5 of them, text all 5, said, you're all coming here to live with me and work with me. None of them knew about each other. Bro, Tristan will tell you the story. He'll tell you. All 5 flew in, picked them all up. They're all sitting there. I sat them around the same table. Bro, I need to get paid. Right? I'm broke now. I'm retired from fighting. I have no money. I'm running out of money. So I put them all around the same table, and I was like, look, we're going to start a webcam business. You're going to stay. You're going to live in London. I'm going to look after you, and we're going to get rich. We're going to be a team. And they're all like, well, who's this bitch? I'm like, she's my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend. She's my girl. You're all my chicks. And you're going to stay here, and we're going to make some money.
It doesn't seem to have computed with them why that might be a problem legally. So let's get into it and describe exactly what the Loverboy method is. Loverboys, or Romeo pimps, are human traffickers who usually operate by trying to make young girls or boys fall in love with them. Sometimes they manipulate young people in other ways. Once they have victims under their influence, they exploit them, for instance, in the sex industry. That's from the Dutch government's website on human trafficking. So, second quote, the Loverboy technique remains the most common tool. It consists in contacting a person via an online platform, getting to know their hobbies and interests, their family situation and personal circumstances, as well as vulnerabilities. Subsequently, the trafficker approaches the victim with empathy, with a great willingness to help her and understand her, as well as to financially support her. Often the victim is manipulated through promises of a serious relationship, sometimes with marriage requests in the attempt of gaining her trust and psychologically control her. Evidence from Romania, and that's from the very ironically named Greta. All the conspiracy theorists can now go wild in the comments, but it's a definition or a part of a report that I'm quoting from the Council of Europe, their body on trafficking human beings. The main crux of the Loverboy method, as you see, is to persuade someone to fall in love with you and then exploit them in some shape or form in the sex industry. So what exactly has Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate been boasting about doing? I did have a video last week where I showed them basically bragging about persuading women to work for them in their webcam, video chat business, and basically that they persuaded the girls to come and live with them, be their girlfriend, and then work for them.
And that's where I made my most money. When I had 4 girlfriends, my brother had 4 girlfriends, me, my brother, 8 women living in one house. And all the women adored us and they obeyed us. And at the peak, I was turning over 400 grand a month.
With 8 girls?
With 8 girls, yeah.
Were you all sleeping with the same girls?
No, so he had his 4, I had my 4.
So you can see prima facie, just on first glance here, that seems to satisfy many of the elements of the Loverboy method, which by extension is a form of human trafficking under the law. Now, maybe that surprises you, probably surprises most people from what I can gather online, but when we're talking legally, the definition of human trafficking isn't the old stereotype of some girl being, maybe here in Eastern Europe, being kidnapped and then smuggled into Western Europe and then held against her will at gunpoint in a brothel and then used in prostitution. Human trafficking as a legal definition has evolved over the last decade with obviously the internet and different online businesses in the wider sex industry coming more mainstream. So like things like the cam business that the Tate brothers said that they set up first in the UK and then in Romania. And also things like maybe even OnlyFans, right? Which is kind of like allows people to run their own little webcam business, I guess, from the comfort of their own home, or as an individual or as a group. So that is something that I think most people have missed, that he was actually boasting about something that was potentially going to create a big legal problem for him. On top of that, of course, in that video you saw him boast about how he went to Romania because basically legal enforcement of the law was going to be lower. There's lots of corruption, all these other things that don't really paint a good picture legally as to what he was up to. So I'm focusing in on just this one allegation. There's also the allegation of forming a criminal group and of rape. And now remember that the body that's investigating them is not some local police force. It is the high level. It's the Department on Human Trafficking and Terrorism. So think about it, their job is to find people who are human trafficking, and the Loverboy method is one of the methods that human traffickers use. So you can see why they would be interested in a guy that has said that he has previously flown in women on a ruse and then persuaded them to work for him in the sex industry, webcam business, and he has boasted about basically being able to control them because they were his girlfriend, etc. Now, on top of that, Andrew Tate the Tate brothers, it seems, went a step further. They were actually selling a program, an online info product that was their guide to setting up a webcam business. And the name of the program was How to Make Money in the Webcam Industry. And I'm going to just play a couple of clips from it. I mean, there's some other YouTubers, including some other lawyers, have commented on just the wide scope of potential crimes that they advise people potentially to commit in this video course. But I'm just going to focus in on the Loverboy method and what's relevant to that. So let's just play a few clips from it. And this is more or less to just show you the kind of evidence that the prosecution in this case with the Tates, potential case, because they're just allegations at the moment, just to show you what kind of sources that they can draw upon in the Tates' own words, describing how they operate.
So when I realized I had all these assets, I had to find a way to monetize the assets. I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is a completely, in fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same of what we're going to do. The skill I'm going to teach you is exactly the same. I could easily translate mine to a street business, and you could easily street pimp with the things I'm going to teach you. But I didn't want no one else fucking my girl. That's the truth. My girls. I want to fuck my girls. I want some other guy fucking my girls. What the fuck's the point in that? So, long story short, blah, 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 discovered webcam and went from there.
So in that first clip from his info product, Andrew Tate outlines how basically the only difference with street prostitution, street pimping, and what he is now teaching guys to do is the fact that, well, other men would get to have sex with his girls in traditional pimping and street prostitution, while this they don't. that is not a very good look to make that comparison himself. It's a little bit of the Iceberg Slim vibes about it. Let's play another clip.
Now, when the girl is on camera, and you would have seen from my promotional video, that was at the height of my webcam empire. The blonde in that video I'm still with now. I know, she's smoking.
So there he says that the girl who's on camera is his girlfriend, right? This is going to be very important. Just remember that. So he's there using the other woman, showing her, saying, this is my girlfriend, she's working for him.
Then you start saying things like, oh yeah, but you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling is a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So I'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So, okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. You, your bottom bitch, the new girl, you go out for fucking a nice dinner. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl. And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
So this is sounding incredibly dodgy. He's describing the girl, the blonde woman, that is his girlfriend, as his bottom bitch. And her job is actually to recruit other women into the webcam business for him. So the optics on this are particularly bad. If we can make another analogy to probably a criminal case that you're familiar with, and that is Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? So Epstein died in prison, pedophile, convicted pedophile. And what he was doing is that he was recruiting, luring girls into the more, I guess, traditional sex industry, prostitution industry that Andrew Tate referred to in that first clip from the product. And he was using his girlfriend in order to recruit the women in, to manipulate them and get them to come in. So think about that and where Miss Maxwell is nowadays. She is also sitting in prison because she was convicted of also partaking in these crimes. So that's also another important point to remember, because that's going to raise issues when girls who've worked for him, who are maybe considered his girlfriends, are going to testify. Also, there are allegations that one of the girls who has been detained with the Tate brothers is actually now that current one, not the blonde woman who's in the video from the beginning. There is a brunette who's now filling in that position, in the words of Andrew Tate, as his bottom bitch, in order to recruit and to control, in part, the women that are working in the Tate's webcam business. So there you can see we have Andrew Tate boasting about using something that seems to be the Loverboy method in terms of getting women to work. First of all, to come and work in his webcam business, and then later in order for them to stay. First in the UK, and then he leaves and goes to Romania when he's been investigated in the UK for a variety of alleged crimes. Now we seem to have it replicated, the same situation in Romania. He's been investigated for similar crimes again. And on top of it, he has made a program that he was selling in which, amongst other things that are potentially criminal, he outlines using the Loverboy method again as a way of building your webcam business and presumably doing something like OnlyFans. He also has an OnlyFans program there as well. But I think the real kicker is that I promised you in the beginning is what happens with all the people who have bought this training program from Andrew Tate, who went and implemented this Loverboy method, or anyone else that he's actually helped in any way, either directly or indirectly, who's gone and done this. Because we could be looking at not just the case of the Tate brothers, but potentially if there are complaints by women who have been exploited in a similar fashion in other jurisdictions, and there is some sort of nexus to the Tate brothers, we could be looking at potentially, I don't know how many people he sold the product to or he helped to develop the Loverboy method and to implement it either directly or indirectly. But is it 10 copies he sold? Is it 100 copies he sold? Is it thousands of copies he sold? So potentially you have a wide array of potential victims as a result of his info product. And you have obviously a lot of guys who may have naively bought this or not so naively bought it and implemented that method, and now potentially are going to be in similar legal difficulties. And then when you have to think a little bit further on, well, if someone was exploited in another jurisdiction, we'll just take another random country, say Mexico, and some Mexican guy bought Andrew Tate's webcam business product or something else from him, and then he learned, or as a result of watching it, he goes and he implements the Loverboy method in Mexico, and then subsequently some of the women that worked for him, either it was on OnlyFans or in webcam business or something else, and they make allegations. Well, are the Tate brothers also going to be implicated in that legal process, whether it's criminal or it's actually a civil proceeding for compensation to the victims? There are some of the open questions that I haven't seen anyone else comment on that really stick out for me. It's like, I have a feeling that as investigators go deeper and deeper into this, that it might not just be the Tate brothers who are going to be implicated. And you know, as a former lawyer, I have a bit of sympathy for his legal team and their position, because I kind of played out, what would I say if I were the defense? What would I say if I'm the prosecution in such a case, looking at what he said, what the evidence is. And you know, I listened to his lawyer, his Romanian lawyer. He spoke to the press for about 45 minutes, gave an interview in Romanian. He was outlining that basically some of the arguments that they would make is like, well, you know, Andrew Tate is just acting when he's there, when he's making all these statements about what he does in general. That's going to be undermined by the fact that but he was acting to sell a product in which the same methods were being sold as training. That's really problematic. On top of it, you know, maybe in these particular cases, they'll be able to, you know, I listened to his argument, of course, that he gave to the press that, well, none of these women were forced onto the plane, basically, to come and stay with the Tates. Yeah, but Andrew Tate outlined that his modus operandi is to lure the women to come to him, that he was going to pay for them to come and then try to persuade them to work in the webcam business. Again, undermined by Andrew Tate's public statements. So you can see how difficult a position the defense is, not the prosecution for sure, but the defense is being put in by the fact that he has so much stuff out there on the internet that is, well, reflects very badly on him in this case. So that was what I pointed out in my first video, and I hope that you got some good value out of this, that you now understand better what the Loverboy method is and how it pertains to this case in Romania. There are a lot of other legal issues. He's also facing allegations of rape and of organizing a criminal group, so organized crime. But I really feel that this Loverboy method and how it relates to human trafficking is really the fulcrum of the very basic case, and that for me, just looking at it, it seems from far away, it seems like really problematic for him and being able to leave a Romanian prison for now. So if you want to come to Eastern Europe and have an unforgettable experience without ending up in a Romanian jail for at least 30 days, then what are you doing next weekend? Because it could be you with me living the Tsar experience in Eastern Europe. Now I'm speaking to you today from Lviv in Ukraine with the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war. I am not going currently with clients to Russia, Belarus, or Ukraine, but I'm about to leave and go to Riga in Latvia with a client. Also have been recently with clients in Chisinau in Moldova and Almaty in Kazakhstan. Also open to going to Poland with clients at the moment. So down below in the description is an application form. The Tsar experience is by application only. And before you go and apply, please go and check out the playlist where I have some videos giving you a flavor of what to expect on the Tsar experience, where I went with previous clients and also to the cities where I'm currently running the Tsar experience. So before I leave you, I want to just end with by reaching out to Andrew Tate's die-hard fans, the ones cheering on, writing #FreeTopG. Learn from your heroes' mistakes. Definitely be more perspicacious, have a compendious strategy in life, and definitely never be so asinine as to make a product outlining how to be a human trafficker, because that's exactly the way, if I were the prosecution in this case, I would be describing his webcam business program. So on that point, I wish you all a pleasant evening. Do pobачення, do перемоги, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.
SAR Experience.